Australia and serial offenders. Australia, with 83 reported serial offenders, has been identified as the 10th country on the global list in terms of reported numbers. Introduction of two well-known Australian serial offenders, Ivan Milat and John Wayne Glover. Ivan Milat, also known as the backpacker murderer, was born in 1944 in New South Wales, Australia. His early life was marked by numerous difficulties and challenges. Milat was born into a large and dysfunctional family. He was one of 14 children, and his family relationships were generally strained and tense. From an early age, he showed signs of antisocial behavior and psychopathy. His siblings reported that he attacked animals and exhibited violent behavior as a youth. Milat also had problems in school and was ridiculed and bullied because of his behavior. This contributed to his isolation and reinforced his negative behaviors. In his early youth, he was jailed for crimes such as breaking glass and driving stolen cars. These experiences led him to prison, and then he was released after a while. However, none of these minor crimes were significant compared to the crimes he committed later. Even Milat's early life laid the groundwork for his violent behavior in the future, leading him to commit horrific crimes. Even Milat, known as the backpacker murderer, was accused of horrific and brutal murders in Australia in the 1990s. Between 1989 and 1993, he murdered 7 young backpackers in the Belanglo State Forest in New South Wales. Milat paralyzed his victims by hitting their spinal cords and using a knife. He then brutally murdered them and buried their bodies. His victims were mainly young travelers who were traveling. These people were looking for adventure and experiencing life in nature, but were brutally targeted by Milat. Milat's murders caused fear and terror in Australian society and attracted media attention. He became known as one of the most notorious serial killers in Australian history. Analysts believe that Milat may have suffered from mental disorders. His antisocial behavior in childhood and adolescence indicated deeper mental problems. Some researchers believe that Milat hated his victims because of negative experiences in childhood and family issues, and this hatred led him to commit crimes. The murders can indicate Milat's need for control and power over others. By killing his victims, he felt power and dominance. Milat was sentenced to life imprisonment in 1994. He was severely convicted of his crimes for killing 7 young people and was in prison. During his imprisonment, Milat made several unsuccessful attempts to escape from prison. These attempts showed his determination to escape from prison and continue his life outside of it, but he always failed. Milat exhibited strange behaviors in prison. He tried to pressure the guards to allow him to have items such as a TV and PlayStation in his room. He also went on hunger strike in some cases to attract attention. Eventually, Ivan Milat developed cancer. This disease gradually worsened his health. Milat died in prison in 2019 at the age of 75 from cancer. His death was not only the end of the life of a serial killer, but it is also considered a turning point in Australian criminal history. The life and death of Ivan Milat is still being discussed and examined, and has had a profound impact on society and the media. John Wayne Glover, also known as the Granny Killer, had a complex and challenging early life. Glover was born into a dysfunctional family. He grew up in an unsuitable family environment that contributed to his psychological and behavioral problems. During his childhood, Glover faced problems such as his parents' divorce and his mother's multiple marriages. These experiences may have fueled his hatred of older women and his violent behavior towards them. In his adolescence, Glover exhibited antisocial and criminal behaviors. He was accused of theft, verbal abuse, and assault, and these behaviors gradually intensified. He was ostracized by his peers due to his behavior, which contributed to his isolation. This isolation may be another factor in shaping his personality and his tendency towards violence. John Wayne Glover's early life was fraught with deep challenges and problems that ultimately led to his criminal and violent behavior in adulthood. These experiences not only affected his behavior, but also led to the formation of his hatred of older women and his tendency to target them. John Wayne Glover, known as the Granny Killer, became notorious for his crimes and violent murders in Australia. In his youth, Glover was accused of theft, assault, and verbal abuse. These behaviors indicated his psychological and social problems. Glover specifically targeted older women. Due to his hatred of this age group, he was looking for victims who were easily controlled. He murdered his victims in brutal ways. His murders included beatings and the use of inhumane methods. In the 1980s, Glover terrorized the northern beaches of Sydney by hunting older women. He was gradually identified and arrested. After his arrest and trial for his horrific murders, John Wayne Glover was convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment. In 1990, he was tried for the murder of several older women. The court identified him as a dangerous serial killer who specifically targeted women. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. This sentence was due to the severity and brutality of his crimes and their profound impact on society. Glover faced numerous psychological and behavioral problems in prison. Due to his mental state, he needed special treatment and was frequently monitored. In 2005, John Wayne Glover ended his life in prison. This action was interpreted as a sign of his deteriorating mental state and inability to face the consequences of his actions. His actions sparked debate and discussion about the mental conditions of prisoners and the need for mental health treatment in the judicial system. John Wayne Glover's conviction and death were not only the end of a serial killer's life, but also indicative of the psychological and social challenges faced by individuals with mental health problems in prisons. These events continue to be discussed in studies and discussions related to crime and psychology. Both killers, Ivan Milat and John Wayne Glover, had profound and different impacts on Australian society. Their crimes not only created fear and terror in society, but also led to social, legal, and cultural changes to improve safety and mental health. These effects continue in discussions and studies related to crime and society.